All right, Victor says he can hear me, I believe. No green screen today. I might have to go get it. Might help out. It works, all right. Now, hopefully it's not all choppy like it was the other days. So, I'm hoping. My wife was nice enough to tell me I'm so not with it today. So, is everybody hearing? Okay, good. No chop. Wow. I've been struggling with the internet company trying to fix it so that I can get this done right, and I was had to last minute trying to get it set up downstairs. All right, so as we were talking about, what are we covering? Today we're going to be searching out to see if we can find pins. We're going to look for tactics every chance we can, and we're going to try to find pins. All righty. Thanks again, Modern Ancient. That was pretty awesome. My first ever raid by anybody. That's just pretty cool. Pretty super cool. All right. See if I can get this set up in time. Yeah, like that. Rushing, get it done. You guys get to see me, see the guy behind the curtain getting it all done last minute. Thank you for sticking it out. I'm really sorry about that. Definitely not the plan was to be late or to have this issue. All right, I think we're almost there. I'm back. How's that? Are we there? All right. Awesome. You don't hear an echo? Yeah, no, you're not going to hear an echo. You might hear an echo when we do our lesson on Sunday. So I'm going to do a lesson with the Modern Ancient on Sunday at 1 o'clock. And hopefully that works really well. And I am taking challenges, as I said, on lichess.org, and I'm Tiberian, and we'll go through the games together. Please make it with a time increment and make it casual because I'll be talking instead of paying attention. I use Lichess primarily, and yeah, I like Lichess. I believe in what they believe. I believe chess should be free. I believe it should be taught to every person, children, adult that we can get, that we should really share a lot. So I really push, in my mind, I'm always pushing to try to get us to get more people learning chess. And I love Lichess because it's a nonprofit. That said, I probably spent more money on giving them a donation than I would have on, that I probably would have spent if I went ahead and just did the premium on chess.com. And I'm not against chess.com. I think it's fine. I don't have any problems with it. I just prefer to spend my time with Lichess more. But I do play on chess.com. I did have an account, just never used it much. And I use it more now because I play in like the Modern Ancient. I played in one of his tournaments. I'll play him on his site sometimes. In fact, Sunday's lesson, maybe we'll do it on chess.com so that, he's more comfortable on it. But either way, I like lichess.org. And it is Lichess. I looked it up to find out how to pronounce it. All right, so I still need a challenge. So Murph, if you are out there, if you can give me a challenge, that'd be great. Are you still on my? Murph called me to let me know I was having trouble, and I think I just lost him on the phone too. Oh, okay. Yeah, Victor, it's some people you get used to one, and that's just the one that you keep playing on. If you started with chess.com, you might be there forever. If you uh, tried Lichess first, you probably just stay there and you don't kind of like cross over. But a lot of the streamers they do, they play on both because they have tournaments on both, especially the rated tournaments, or I should say for the titled players. Lichess, yeah, Modern Ancient, it's got some really nice things on it. If I show you the full screen, and I've done this the other day, just to let you guys know, but under Learn, you have chess basics, you have practice, really good stuff that you can learn. Study coordinates if you're a real beginner. You can even get coaches, but that's neither here nor there. But the studies is awesome, and you can have as many studies as you like. Each study has up to 64 chapters. It's crazy. Can you send me a game invite? Yeah, definitely. You just go up here to the right where it's got the crosshatches up here, and you challenge someone to a match. So you definitely can do that. But yeah, the puzzles also, I really like the puzzles. And besides puzzles, you can go into puzzles and then choose the theme of the puzzle you want to work on. So as an example, because we're doing pins, we're talking about finding pins, finding tactics. You could click on the theme for pins, and that's what you'd see. All right, you send me a game by clicking on this too, or just tell me, if you tell me what your name is that you gave yourself in Lichess, I can actually challenge you to a game. You also get a puzzle dashboard that can show you how well you're doing and what areas that how you're doing in different themes and tactics. So you see here, how did I do on defensive moves, deflection, endgame, fork, kingside attack. So you can see and decide what you're weak at. So like deflection is where my lowest score is. I'm a 2174 at deflection. So I should go work on deflection maybe. I can go pick the theme to work on deflections. So it's really nice that you can tailor your learning that way to what you want. All right, Vic, let's see. Let me first see if I can find you brand new member. Vic 291. So the nice thing is you could search on anyone, and if you know what their username is, you can find them. You can click on it, and you just created your account, so you're not going to have anything here. But you could go see. You can go see my statistics. You can go see anything you want about that person. So the challenge, you just hit the two swords, and you decide on what you want. And so we're going to do a real time. We'll do it 5 and 5. I need some, let's do 5 and 10. I need an increment because I talk too much. And then I just do bad. We'll leave it at casual and we'll make it random. So you should see a challenge come through and you just have to approve the challenge. Let's get backdrop a little better. Yeah, there we go. All right, Vic, you just have to accept, hey, accepted, good to go. And there we are. So now we get to play. I got white by luck. Let's see, you did, oh, Clarence 2098, is that your rating for puzzles? That's really, really good. I mean, 2098 puzzle rating is outstanding, Chris. Oh, you only did one puzzle though? You must have rocked it. I don't know how they do puzzles, but in Lichess, you start off, if you notice Vic's rating, which you'd have to go out and follow us. You could follow us on Lichess, but Vic's rating right now is 1500 with a question mark because he hasn't played any games yet. It's just like getting a standard rating in over the board tournaments. You have to play so many games to get that static rating, that solid rating. So it starts at 1500 and it'll give you pluses and minuses in big chunks. All right, so we have the Scandinavian, which is fine. And I'm just going to take, because we're playing by the general principles, the only pawns I'm moving are my center pawns. And if someone offers, that's not free candy. That was not free candy, but I'm going to take it anyway. And so now we get the queen out. So this is a great example of one of the techniques that we talked about that you would do in the opening. And it's, can I play chase the queen? Well, yeah, I can develop my knight and attack the queen. So I get to play chase the queen while I'm doing it. All right, so we get a check. Now I got to decide. I can put my queen here. I don't usually like to develop the queen early, but I can develop the queen early because maybe I trade off queens, right? And if I trade off queens, I will be developing my bishop when I take back. So I'll get to develop a piece by trading off the queen. And so now I could take the queen, and we're just going to do that. And why? I'm helping black develop, but I'm also helping black do a Murph move, right? Because that bishop's going to be in the wrong spot because it'll be blocking in a pawn. And we love blocking in that pawn. That pawn is our favorite thing to block in if we can do that. And so we're getting to do that. We get to block in the pawn. So now I got to decide what I want to do next. And I know I'm going to want certain things to be in certain places. We're going to develop our knight. Just nice regular development move. So far, white has 2 pieces developed, black has 2 pieces developed. Black is actually ahead. Now they have 3 pieces developed. And we finally get what we've been looking for. This is the opportunity we're trying to look for. Extra throughout the game, we're going to look for every opportunity for tactics. And we're starting with one tactic at a time. We don't want to overload you with multiple tactics. So we're going to start with chess the pin. So this whole week has been talking about and finding opportunities for pins. And so we have a pin right now, and now I have to decide, do I want to take the knight or run away? I'm going to take the knight for the other concept of having doubled pawns. So we're going to double up our opponent's pawns instead of anything else, and we're going to get our king safety underway. We castle. Now note, this bishop has a hard time getting out because this Murph move, right? And we kind of entice the Murph move by getting him to take back with the bishop and put it right there in front where it's not in a great spot. So rooks don't actually get developed. We just want them to be able to talk to each other. So right now, black's only problem with development is this bishop. I said we'd talk about other things besides just the things we said we were trying to cover, which is the pin. But so now I got to figure out how am I going to develop this bishop? Normally I kind of like this diagonal, but now it looks like black's only chance to develop this to put his king into safety is going to be castling this way. King safety is less important once the queen's off the board, but we're going to start off by blocking this bishop's attempts at this pawn and at this whole diagonal. We're just going to limit that diagonal, and we're going to bring our bishop out this way. So that gives us 2 squares for our bishop, and this is the exception to moving only center pawns. We are moving a different pawn than a center pawn. It's an exception, but it's one that we're going to allow because we're going to fianchetto. Now I could hit at this pawn because I know this is where we talked about that you need to think about what your opponent's doing. So why did my opponent do that? Well, to fianchetto. And if you're listening still, Vic, that's okay, but there you go. If he brings that bishop out, I could be here and I could be hitting at that pawn that's not protected. I can also put my bishop here, and that way he can't move that knight except for here to keep from that bishop falling. And I definitely want to attack that bishop sometime soon. So I have all these thoughts in my mind. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to finish development. And I'm just trying to decide, do I want to go someplace a little bit different? And I'm thinking I do. I think we're going to have a little fun. And we're going to go all the way out here. All right. So I expect the bishop to come out to one of these 2 squares. And we'll see if I'm right. All right, all the way attacking that pawn, but it is protected. Remember, it's protected, so I'm not going to worry about that pawn at the moment. Don't have to worry about it. I still like this bishop is poorly placed. I wish I had stayed over here now because that would have been fun. This knight has some squares, but not there, not there. So you really can't get to this pawn either. But where do I want to be? I want to be behind this, either this this future pass pawn, or I definitely want to be on this one, pointing right down at the king, and I like that one the best. So I'm going to point right at the king because it's a semi-open file, so it's where I want to be anyway. So semi-open files are where rooks like to be, just like black did put his rook on that square. That was a good move. But right now we're going to see if we can do any damage. All right, so we get a bishop move twice. So, right, should be developing. Only development move left is to get king safety. Could stay here, but now the bishop is out here in the open, and that's okay. Looking to maybe come here and give me some problems, but it won't. I'll just drop back, so I'm okay with that. And I still like what I have going here, and I like the pin there for the moment. This is a pin on the bishop, except it's not really a pin because the pawn is protected. All right, so now I'm thinking I could go back here. I'm thinking I can push the pawn because I do want to keep that knight out too. And I definitely want to get my rook over here sooner than later. So we're going to get our rook over here right away onto this other partially centered file. So again, we're going to wait and see where black goes. Might want to go here. I will not want to take because that he could take back with this pawn towards the center and undouble his pawns. These pawns are weak because they're double. They're hard to protect each other. And so now we get a pawn push all the way outside. Okay, it's a little aggressive. Nothing wrong with aggressive. I like aggressive. Aggressive is fine. But I don't know that it's going to get him anywhere yet. And the king is still stuck in the middle. So now I'm really wanting to chase this bishop. Because after I chase that bishop, I'll have a discovered attack on the pawn. And I have this bishop hitting the pawn, and I'll have the knight hitting the pawn. And I have protected this pawn with the rook. So this bishop can't take it. So my knight was free to move. So now I'm attacking the bishop and I'm attacking this pawn. Now the bishop is protected, but boy, I would love to do that because he would take back and I would take back again, right? So that'd be good news for me. Oh, look at this. So the king came out to play. That's interesting. It's rare. It's interesting. It's definitely a doable move. And so now it makes me want to really think hard because I feel like there should be a way, as I like to say, there should be a way to punish my opponent for bringing the queen out too early. I mean, the king out into the middle of the board, not the queen, king out into the middle of the board. But really, I don't see too many ways to punish him except we're going to go ahead and take the bishop. And what that'll do for us is he has to take back with the pawn. He can't take with the king. So then he'd have double pawns, single isolated pawns, and these two pawns. So his pawns are totally disarrayed. This happened in a game we played against, me. I played against the Modern Ancient the other day, where his pawns just ended up really weak, really poor pawns, and he couldn't get anything going. And so we kind of have the same situation going here. So this pawn attack is not good for me anymore. So I'm going to reposition my bishop to this diagonal, which is a nice long diagonal. I like that diagonal. So we're going to put our bishop on that diagonal instead. And I finally get to stop talking. All right, let me check the chat, see if anybody has anything exciting. No. Hey, Murph, are you out there are you watching it this way, Murph? Or are you only on Lichess? If you're only on Lichess, of course, you can't answer. And I don't know if LLMP has shown up. I don't know. And again, Modern Ancient, that was really awesome having you give me a raid. Wow, that was my first raid ever. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, you see him on Lichess. Okay, yeah. Got to see if we can get him to come over here to join us. Oh, okay. I'm missing the move and losing on time because I'm missing moves. All right, so the bishop comes back, no problem there. Remember now, if I move this knight, that knight is pinned to the rook. So I'm tempted to put the knight here because if the knight takes, I get to take the rook. If he takes my bishop, I could take back the knight and I'm happy. Good camper there. I'm really kind of tempted. So go here. What else does he have? I don't see anything else exciting. I'm going to go here since it's pinned. And I'm running out of time. So I'm going to have to move faster. And I made this game, so I know it's a 5 plus 10. So, okay, I have a plus 10. It shouldn't be too much of a trouble. So if he takes, I'm taking the rook and getting the exchange. He didn't take, so now I reposition the knight again. And I kind of like this square because now I'm hitting this pawn twice. So we're just trying to keep pressure, but I'm looking for pins because that's the name of this game. Is we were looking for pins today. Gotta look for pins. All right, so we have a double attack here and a double attack here. So that's a good move. I like that move by Black. He's got two pieces. He's attacking twice, and I don't like giving up either one of them. But I really wanted to take that pawn, but I really can't. So the only way I can see not to give up the pawn is to come here. The knight protects this pawn and it blocks the rook off of this pawn. So I get to keep both pawns this way. So that's what we'll go for. Not what I really wanted to do. I want to eat that pawn, but we're running out of time. All right, so now I'm going to push this pawn. Why? To keep the knight out. So now the knight can't get here, and I can get back to business. I still want to win that pawn, if I can. All right, so knight comes off to the middle. No problem there. And he really doesn't, well, he has this square. I don't like this square for him. Don't really care about that one. So we'll go here to take away that square. So this is called prophylaxis, not really what we're working on today, but I'm trying to keep the knight from getting to be active. And so I didn't want the knight coming here, attacking here, but I still see also that I have eventually a nice pin going through here. Don't see that the knight's hurting me here at all, really. I don't care about the knight being there. I do see a check here, but I also see my check comes here first, but I could also go there with the bishop. So if I come here with the bishop, no, we're not going to do it with the bishop because that pawn would drop. Okay, we'll go here with check. And we're going to expect that he's going to take he's going to take with the bishop, and I just have to decide, do I take with the bishop or do I take with the rook? Time is fleeting. We're going to take with the rook. Yep, we're going to take with the rook. So the rook is still, I like the rook because it's going to be able to attack this pawn. Remember, he has these weak pawns I want to attack. And The bishop would have been nice. Oh, here we go. Nice job. But it is protected. So I'm just going to bring over my other rook and let him trade if he wants. I think we'll let him trade if he wants. I don't want to trade because I don't want to fix his pawns. Again, he would take back and his pawns could be not doubled anymore. He's got all these bad pawns. So I'm actually happy to go to an endgame because he has really bad pawns. So I'm not going to let him take this pawn. And so I'm just stopping his rook from taking that pawn. And I'm happy so far. The rook is definitely easily overprotected. And there we go. We get a pawn push. And now I could chase the knight away, but the bad things might happen first. So I think we're going to go here first and attack the knight. So the knight doesn't have this square to go to anymore. I don't want to push this pawn. The knight would take here. So the knight actually has no squares. Yeah, that was pretty much forced. So we're forced to take back, of course. And now the knight really has to come here. And this is the problem with a knight sometimes, is the knight doesn't have any squares. So I can take the knight because then his king can't take, his rook can take back, and I could just get rid of the knight, or I can wait, and the knight still wouldn't have any good squares. So I'm going to go here. The knight's going to move. Nah, I really want to take that knight. Do I want to simplify already, though? Yeah, let's simplify. Let's take with the bishop. Rook should take, and then we're going to find ways to get our rook, keep our rook active. And this is very much looking like the game I played against the Modern Ancient the other day. And I'm going to try not to get my rook trapped. He got his rook trapped up here in the 5th rank. Now I'm going to try not to have mine get trapped. All right, that's logical. We're going to move over. No rush. Going to get our king into the game. It's very important in the end game to have active pieces. But this is looking pretty good. Hey, Murph. Oh, you followed Modern Ancient. Well, then he should have. I think he already did achieve his goal of 50 followers, but you'd be right in there, one of the helpers. Thanks, Murph, for following the Modern Ancient. I think you'll actually want to go play games with them. You might even dominate, Murph. You might have a good time there. So let's see. I want to keep the rook. Only has one square, but I want to give my rook freedom. In fact, I want to give him so much freedom that I'm looking at pushing the pawn all the way, and I think that works. Yep. If he takes, I can take back with the pawn with the rook, because we do not want our rook to be unactive, and right now it's about as unactive as it can get. So I don't want to take back with the pawn because that just traps my rook in there. But instead, I'm going to take with the rook. Even though it lets his king out, I'm going to take with the rook. My rook can slide over. My rook can come here. My rook can come here. He's, again, got a lot of weak pawns, and he runs there. So let's start off by just saying, ha, we're going to attack over here and see what he does. So his king can move to free up the protection of there, but he's got so many weak pawns, it's going to be hard for him. I could push here, but first I'm going to push here to go after, because I want to be able to push here and say check, and then he has to back up into this row, and when he backs up into that row, then that pawn is weak. All right, good. So he's going after this pawn now. So notice this pawn is now going to be weak, right? I can go after this pawn. We got to find a pawn to kill. We want to kill some pawns. Yeah, so he pretty much has to come back, which is okay. We're going to push another pawn and see what he wants to do. So it's kind of funny, his rook can keep going back and forth, but here we go. All right, so I can push, I can go across, I can even come up. I'm thinking we're going to go across one more time. Yipper, we're going to go across one more time. His rook should move again, I would presume. Ah, okay. So that's could be a mistake. His king can go there though. So it's not really a bad mistake, but I don't want to, again, I don't want to block my rook out of the game. I so much got to keep my rook in the game that I'm going to move again here. I cannot afford to get my rook to be inactive. We need our pieces to be active in the endgame. Okay, so we're going to push one more time here. Again, just trying to get him to make a decision of some type. Hopefully a bad decision, but you know. He's doing really well at protecting and defending. All right, so we get the king move. I'm tempted to put my king here because that will just keep his king out, and we are running out of time, so I will. Now his king can't get back to here, and now I can target this pawn. I got to be careful though, because this rook can come here if I let him. All right, king over. We're gonna, I think we're going to, not that way. Let's push this way. We're gonna just wait. We're gonna do a waiting move. I need a little bit more time back on my clock, and that helps. King moves again. I like it. I still don't want to give away anything. We're going to move here. So this is a lot of juxtaposition. Tempted to just draw this game so we could go on to another game and look for that important other factor that we want, right? Which is the pin. We're looking for pins. So now I'm trying to attack this pawn, by the way. And I want to get into a position so I can do this. And I anticipate a take. And that will give me finally some chance for my rook to get behind his pawns. His pawns are weaker than mine, so I'm thinking I have good opportunities. All right, so we get that move. I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to bring it all the way. I'm anticipating his rook coming down here. And okay, and I get to check, which is what I was hoping for to a degree, to see what we can get done. Because that pawn is weak too. And we get this situation, and I get to come up. Do I want to do that first? I think I want to attack this pawn first. Probably not the best move, but it's the move I made. So I was thinking I probably should have went here, because that would have kept his rook out of my back rank altogether. All right, so I can see where I can protect certain rooks, certain pawns, certain ways, and I'm going to go here. I have 3 pawns over here that he can attack. I have only one of them that it's going to be hard to protect. The other 2 I can protect with the rook. Yeah, maybe better would have been keeping his rook out of the game. And that's the one pawn I had trouble protecting, so I have to give up the power of the double pawns against me. I've got to give it up finally. I was in good shape for a while, but now I have to give that up. All right, so now I got to find which way do I want to go, this way or this way. I don't think it matters that much. I'm going to come this way. And then I'm coming this way. Again, it's just trying to restrict the rook from taking anything for free and trying to keep him boxed in. So we'll go with a check. I anticipate him taking back. I'm going to throw a check in there, hoping to get another pawn. Chances are he's going to go back and protect it. And I can actually push here now. All right, everything is protected, so I'm moving up. I'm moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. All right, so I still can't let him get this one in, right? If I go here, then I'm checkmated. That would be bad. We don't want to get ourselves checkmated. But boy, I still would like to take some other material, and I don't want to give up this pawn to make it happen. So we're going to bring our king over here. Very George game at this point. Ah, let's see. You want to make a Lichess club? Actually, I made one. Believe it or not, I made one for you guys. So if you go to community and you go to teams, so you see up here community teams, I want you to search for live stream. So let me find it. Well, it won't like it if I do that. So hopefully I don't lose on time, Vince or Victor. So let's see, Vic. Yeah, Vic. Let's see. Okay, good move. I still can't go here. I want to do nasty things, but I can't. So we're going to. I feel like just let's get. No, I can't do that. Arg, 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 arg. All right, let's go here. So if you go to community, teams, and I think it's it's for live stream. I made a club, and then I can actually have a tournament. All of you guys can play in arena tournaments just like you do in chess.com, and it is for live stream. For live stream would be the whole name, and the oh, let me get you. Let's go with that one. So it's for live stream. I can get you the link for it. Sorry. There we go. I should be able to paste that into the chat. I got lots of time. And if you guys ask to join that team, then you're good to go. It's rook f4. For white, no, because he would just take me off. I don't like that move. This is playable. This is very George. And I need to I think I need to lose a pawn, unfortunately. I really want to go there, but he just keeps coming here. If I go here and around, it doesn't really help. Yep. I'm going to offer you a draw, Vic, just so we can move on and get another game. I think we're done with pins, and it's pretty solid. I mean, I think black has the advantage, but it's hard to find. It's hard to make it happen. All right, we're getting a more dynamic position, that's for sure. Let's see, can't do that, can't do that. I will need to keep my rook active. If we go there, he takes. I go there, no, that doesn't work. Don't like that too much either. Let's just do this and shake it up. All right, good job. Yeah, modern. I think you'll like it. It's a good place to be. It's a good tool to use. So I think you'll like Lichess for it. All right, we're cleaning up a lot of pawns and stuff are getting cleaned up. And now my rook is getting trapped, which is what I didn't want, as we discussed. We don't want our rook getting trapped, but it is. We wanted our rook to stay active, and now it's not. Ooh, and we have danger zone coming. So this is going to be interesting. I'm curious to see what happens. We're gonna go here. All right, well, come back here. I think this is still a draw. I think it's even more so a draw now, believe it or not. But we'll wait. We've got excitement coming. We've got excitement coming. Let's see. I think we've got excitement coming. Game is finally shaking up. Shaking up. Yeah, we're shaking this game up. Yeah, now I got to be careful because we got a nice little tricky move. If I take this pawn, rook here, check, king moves somewhere, and then there's two pieces attacking my rook. So we've got to take that pawn, not this pawn. This pawn would have lost the game for me, for sure. Nice little tactic. I like that, Vic. That's almost like a pin that we were talking about, you know? That's almost the pin. Thinking we're going to chase your rook. And I think this is definitely still going to be a draw, but I've been wrong before. I've been wrong before. You know what? Let's chase it again. Yes, yes, yes. And we're just going to go away. I'm going to start with that for fun. This is a much longer game than I expected, guys. But we could definitely do an arena. But again, the purpose of this normally is to get you guys practice in seeing the tactics that we're working on. And we're working on the pin. We could go back and forth. Yeah, let's go here. You know, let's try that. And now we have to say check. And we have to say, we don't have to say check. It doesn't matter. We could just take the pawn. We could just take the pawn. Let's say check. Oh, well. All right. And I think we have a nice draw. Good job, Vic. You don't have to accept the draw, but I think it's pretty much a draw. But I leave it to you if you want to keep playing. I'd like to go play another match though. Oh yeah. All right. Vic, this is we're gonna be here for a while. Yeah, I agree, Chris. I'm about to resign so we can play another game. Would like to get some more games in tonight, especially if we can keep on doing looking at the items that we talked about, which are today this week the pin. Ready, Vic, for a draw whenever you are. Yeah, it's not going to be a perpetual because you'd have a hard time proving a perpetual. You can get three move repetition, and the computer does that for you, so that's nice. But yeah, three move repetition is is definitely doable. But perpetual, it's just not going to give it to you. All right, thank you, Vic. Very good game. Good game. GG. As my friend, the modern ancient would say, GG's. All right, I need another challenge. That one took way too long. I'll go ahead. Feel free to make it a little faster, maybe 5 and 5. In that way, one of us will run out of time. It's fine if it's me. Mostly, we're just trying to show you the opening and looking for those pins. That's all I'm trying to get to help everyone do. So if anybody wants to throw out another challenge, I'd happily take one. We'll try to get a couple of more games in, but like I said, 5-5 might be good. Hey, good night, Vic. Good playing. Very good. Nice job. Thank you for the game. Thank you for the opportunities to show pins. Pins were really good, very useful. I can't seem to get any more challenges. Chris, looks like you're out there. Why don't you give me a challenge? LLMP could give me a challenge. That would be nice. Maybe I'll challenge him again. I'm seeming like I'm doing the challenging. Trying not to. Oh, let's see. We got some team offers. All right. Do you guys want to just do it out there and I can show whatever game I'm playing? Let's see. All right. We've got a whole bunch in the team. Now, if you guys want, we can do if you're happy, we can do a tournament 15 and 10. Oh, Chris, hopefully we don't get another long game, but we can do I will play a little differently, but we can do a tournament amongst you guys, and I can just annotate only the games I play if you like. I'll still show that one and do it on the stream while you guys can still rock and roll on any games you want to play. So that's we could do that. I only ask for like a 5 second increment so that I make sure that I don't lose easily on time because I'm moving too fast. So Chris has an opportunity for a pin. I'd love to see it. He didn't do it yet, but he's still saving that opportunity because if the knight comes here, he can cause me trouble. So we'll see if he gets a pin in. I'm definitely hoping to do a pin. He did do the pin. Very good. And in fact, that pin is so dangerous with that knight threatening to come and double up that I had to break up my king's safety just so that I can chase that bishop away. I did not want that bishop. Now he's attacking the pawn, and really the best thing to do is just come back and admit, hey, that pawn, I don't want you taking my pawn, and just come back. Same thing here. Now I'm setting up a pin, and the same thing Chris did to me, I'm threatening to do to him. So hopefully he'll get there. Yeah, that was very good, Vic. Okay, so I don't like where Chris went here because it doesn't break the pin. He should have put the question to the bishop just like I did and get rid of my bishop as fast as possible, Chris. You want to get rid of that bishop because I have this move. But Chris also had this move because his knight isn't there, so he could have said, okay, I don't have to put a question to the bishop, but I can keep this knight out of the square. So he could have pushed there and kept my knight out. But now it allows the knight in, And so now I have both pieces, and I'm going to be able to take this knight, and he's going to have to take back with the pawn, which means he's going to ruin his king position. All right, so you see this. Now it's going to be even worse because the knight takes, and the knight takes with check. So this is the power of the pin. So now the knight takes with check, and the bishop is going to uncover an attack on the queen. So the check he has to deal with, and the queen is under attack. All right, so he takes that way. I'm going to, of course, take a queen. It's better than a pawn. All right, I'm going to do this to shoo his knight away a little bit. I mean, his rook, depending, see where his rook wants to go. And I think he definitely needed to put that rook up. But let's see what I can do. I can get a check here. But if the rook was up here, it would keep my queen out. And then we can mate here. Good game, Chris. But the power of the pin was the most important part that we want to show there, right? And so both of them, the power of the pin here was, this pin was so powerful because this knight is threatening to come in and double attack, that I had to put the question of the bishop right away. And Chris, you can move back here, and then you still can come here. So you have places to go. But trade is fine. This is good. You attack the pawn, but then you have to be wary of the same thing. Here's that pin on the queen. You should have probably put the question of the bishop right away and see if I back up or if I trade. But if you don't, and this is one of the examples, if you don't, you also, again, Chris had that move. So if you don't do that, though, then the knight gets to come in and double up on the queen. And then this is just a really bad square for the queen because of the discovered attack. But good game, Chris. That was a great example of what happens with a pin. And that's what we're doing, right? We're just working on pins. All right, pins. Pins are powerful. There are other tactics. If we look at that game, and a good game for me to go over maybe next week will be the game with Vic, because he had really bad pawns, but I had trouble getting at him. And I maybe shouldn't have traded my bishop for his knight. The bishop probably was a better piece than the knight in that setup. But, that's what it is, especially when you're running out of time. But the thing we're trying to focus on is the pins, not necessarily winning games. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's you're right, Chris, and that's what you got to be wary of. So there's discovered attacks. Discovered attacks, I think, are the most powerful tactic in chess, especially a discovered check. But any discovered attack means that knight could have went anywhere. I could have won that pawn for free. I could have went check, but it wouldn't work because you would just take it with the queen. But obviously this check was best because it's protected by the bishop. You're in check, so you're going to lose the queen either by taking back, or you're going to lose the queen when the bishop gets you. So that was right at this point, I can forcibly win the queen, win it as an exchange. Any other challenges, or do you guys want to? Do you want to see what a tournament feels like on Lichess? We could do it in a little arena on Lichess. I can show you how I even set that up. So because you guys joined the team for live stream, I can go to live stream and I can create tournaments. And it's just like, in fact, let me show you full screen so you guys can see how you can set up. And now that the Modern Ancient has a team in here, you can do it too. So here's all your players in the team. And then what you could do is you could set up a Swiss tournament, and you know what that's like. It should be the same as on chess.com. But you could do a team tournament. You can also do, I don't know if you guys noticed that, you can also do a team battle. So when the Modern Ancient gets his players lined up, right? And I have these players lined up, Modern Ancient and I can do a co-stream where we play our followers against each other. You guys, and you could pick which team, right? We can make sure it's an even number. And we could do a team battle, and it'll be an arena style battle, and you play against all the other players from that team, and it's just a random. Lichess has its own little algorithm on how you see who you play, but when it's a team battle, you only play against the people in that other team. But yeah, we just need to. I can guarantee you, Modern Ancient, I will get some of my students. I have tons of students. Like I said, I will get them to join this team also, and you could be in both teams. And when the announcement comes and says, "Hey, there's a team battle between the Modern Ancient followers and Tiberian followers," you get to pick which team you want to be on if you happen to be on both teams. You can't play for them both at the same time, obviously, but you could pick which team you want to represent. And we could just see how many are online. And you see the green dots. These green dots means that you're online right now. Hey, Bane, is that how you pronounce it? Bane? Kind of like it, Bane. But so we could have a team battle. That'd be fun. And these type of things like the team battle and stuff, I would do on a different night than my lessons. So Mondays I do the introduction of a concept from 8 to 9ish. And then on Wednesday I do 11 o'clock, I do review of games for that concept or theme. On Fridays I play students to again try to focus on that theme. I've lost games to my students doing this, trying to teach at the same time. So it's all about teaching that theme or concept. So on a different day, I think we should do these team battles, and it could be any other day, any other time. And it could be before, it could be after my lesson. But I'm gonna stick to the lesson on those 3 days at least to make sure that we're getting those concepts taught. There you go. Oh, wait. You can't throw games for that would be funny. Yeah, the modern ancient is not on his own team and he's losing all the games. Why is he doing that? Yeah, that would be good. I like that. I like that. And those can be rated. So you want to throw all those rating points away. I know you've earned so many. Yes, you'd have to choose, Chris. But Chris, just choose based on like if let's say I only have 3 people online at the time and modern ancient has 5, join my team, and I'll play with you. We'll take on the others. But yeah, you can play for either team. And in fact, if you send me Modern Ancient, let's see, is that I can join your team also. By the way, being on both teams helps you to know when the tournaments are going to happen. So, like even the team battle, you need one person to be on both teams. So that's good that you're on both teams. Did you call it the Modern Ancient, Chris, when you built the team? I'm going to guess that you did. Yeah, look at that. Am I good? That was a wild guess, right? And so let's see. Join team. All right, Chris, you're the modern ancient. You haven't even joined your own team yet. What's up with that? All right, cool beans. Do we have any more challenges for tonight? Can I get another challenge? Modern ancient. You're gonna throw out a challenge and get your private lesson this way? Yes, the modern ancient club joined already, Chris. I'm ahead. I'm already joined. I'm already in the team. Yeah, I really like Lichess. There's really no limits. I can have as many teams as I want. I can have as many studies as I want. It's you can invite people to your study. You could just have a study for you, for 2 people, right? You don't have to have it open to the world, but you can be open to the world. And so by creating studies with someone, you could go there and analyze. What I usually do with my students, and Murph is great at this, he'll play a game, he'll analyze it. I want you to analyze the games yourself. I don't want you using the computer. I want you analyzing a game on your own. And simple analysis would be why did I do this? And why did my opponent do that? So you analyze your games on your own first, which helps you to make sure that you understand what's going on and you learn better. And then after you've analyzed your games, then you analyze it, then I analyze it, my feedback on what I think is happening. All right. So let's just go. Let's go with the center, 2 center pawns. By the way, one of the things I tell my students all the time, when you're playing a serious game, you start with these rules that I'm saying. Center pawns only, develop your pieces fast, king safety, don't move a piece more than once in the opening. It's a race. Free candy doesn't matter, by the way. Always you should care about free candy. So I teach this to my students, and but when you're playing in a tournament, say have fun, do whatever you want, unless it's a serious tournament like 15 minutes or slower. But if it's a speed tournament or a 5-3, a 5-2, blitz, bullet, any of those tournaments, have fun, do whatever you want. Try out your weird openings that you always wish you could play. Don't let me stop you from being creative. Go to town. But when you're playing serious games, I really, really, really highly recommend that you play by these basic principles. And as you see, the games we're getting into over and over again right here are very, very solid, very clean, right? you can feel these games are good games, and you're in the game every time. Even Vic, when he had all those double pawns, it's a draw, right? It came out to be a draw because he didn't give away any free candy, no free candy that game. So think about it. All he did was not give away free candy, and he had a nice game, a nice even game. So it's key. Not giving away free candy is one of the most important parts of playing well. All right. So we're going to play. See if we can spice this up a little. All right. We're going to spice this up. I've played Modern Ancient a couple of times already. I like the way he thinks. He's learning. He wants to get better. I really like his attitude. I like all of you guys' attitudes, actually. The fact that you playing each other and trying to get better is always good. I found another player online, another streamer. I'm trying to remember if it's The Apprentice. I think it is. Oh, there's another one too. I'll find them. A couple other beginners that are streaming, which is really nice. And if you search, there's different ways to search and find them, but that's one way to do it. Let's see. All right, so I said I was going to shake it up. I'm going to shake it up. Shake it up. Play a little bit fun. So we've got two pins going. We had a pin here, which I stepped away from, and we have a pin here that's still live. So it's getting exciting. We got pins. We got pins for both teams. All right, I'm liking it. We're getting exciting. Wow. Okay, so I like this right away because I get to double your pawns for sure. Now that means you probably could get to double my pawns too, so I got to be careful. Because I did it because I figured I can force your pawn doubles. So as soon as that king, like my king stepped out, he could have doubled my pawns. Definitely modern ancient could have make me double my pawns if he had taken my knight right away. And my plan was to castle queen side if he did that. So that's why I said we're going to mix it up. I was willing to get double pawns if I can if I can castle queen side and push that pawn early, hopefully, but more importantly, get this semi-open file for my rook. I just thought I'd castle opposite side and we have an exciting situation. All right, so now I can decide, can I hold on to my knight, right? I mean, because now I don't know that I want to let him double up my pawns. I could, because my rook is still here and I haven't castled. So I do have that benefit. I just got to decide if I want to do that. And in fact, I don't mind him doing this so much that I'm going to take here. And again, I think we're going to just try being very aggressive this game. So it's okay to be aggressive. It's okay to be overly aggressive sometimes. You just got to pick your spots when you want to do it. And so I'm choosing to do it here. Uh, Modern Ancient has some possibilities here of attacks, but the knight would take first, so he might want to take first. But if he takes first, then I get the rook here. Even when the knight comes here, I'm going to ignore it and I'm going to go for checkmate. So there's all these little dynamics going on because if you look, now the queen gets over here pretty quick, but these two pieces are pretty much delegated to the queen side. Now the bishop has a nice diagonal. I cannot complain about the diagonal the bishop has. It has a very nice diagonal and makes it kind of scary for me because, well, it's a pawn. I just grabbed the pawn. That was free candy, by the way. If we go back, when he took, I don't think he has any choice. When he takes, that's free candy. And I just have to decide if I want to take the free candy but it's free candy near the king. So how could I say no, right? So that was tough because he could have taken my knight, but then I could have taken his pawn. Then he has to decide, does he take back the bishop still or does he take my pawn? He can't really afford to take this pawn because then the rook comes and I'd get a discovered attack with the bishop. And if his king takes, then he drops the bishop with check, and then my queen still gets to. It was very complicated. So I can understand losing this pawn. It got complicated quick. So that was thick. It was tough. All right, I like this. I like this because it attacks this pawn. I don't like it because I can get this move in pretty. I can save my. I can save this pawn, and he has two pieces attacking it. So I'm tempted to queenside castle anyway, and then he take, and then I take, but then he's going to take back with the bishop or with the knight, and I don't know. And if he takes back, if he takes with the bishop first, then the knight comes here, and I can't even get my rook here because the knight will hold it. So it just seems more logical to take this way and get out of dodge, right? So we're just going to take this way and do what I said, get out of dodge. We're up a pawn. We'll keep the pawn and see what we can do. Yeah, this game, I told you this game was going to be a little bit more exciting, and it is already. So now he's got to decide between the bishop and the pawn, and we're playing a little more dynamic. By the way, Vic played great, and but every time it's just I get this bad thing that happens to me. I feel like it's a bad thing. Every time I play my first game, I seem to lose or get into a bad position against my students. Every first game. I have no idea why. All right, I'm looking at knight here threatening the pawn for check. And if he puts the queen in front, that's a discovered check for me, a discovered attack on the queen. So that doesn't protect there. He can't go here to protect. He could drop back here to protect. Not looking like it's the most favorite idea. I'm just going for it. I'm thinking that's a play. I'm thinking that's a play. I'm thinking we have attacks left and right. We're going for it. And he's lower on time. Oh, you did a low, oh, 5 and 10, 5 and 10. So modern ancient, you should get back 10 seconds whenever you find your right moves. But so what we're doing here is a lot of it is just keeping pressure on. We were looking for pins and we had pins. You remember we had both pins. So it's really nice that this game had pins in it because that's what we're searching for. We also have discovered attacks, both games. And this one we have a discovered attack. In the last game we had a discovered attack. So what should you do for openings? Oh, yeah. I think I think there's a problem, Chris, with beginners trying to learn openings. I mean, you really don't have time to memorize a whole lot of lines, and you don't usually understand the purpose behind those lines. So here's a problem. We get the check, and the king actually has no squares. So guess what? If we check, the queen has to take, and we get the queen. So we're about to win the queen. Oh, and another thing, when you drag pieces and drop them, sometimes you misplace them. So I find a safe way is to click on it, you want to go, at least if you're using a mouse. But anyway, Chris, yeah, I definitely try to teach my students not to learn, not to memorize an opening because they always want to. They want, oh, I learned this gambit, I learned that gambit. And in fact, if you look on Modern Ancient, you have a lot of your viewers want to show you these neat openings, right? One of them showed you the gnome, GNOME opening. I never heard of it. Yeah, you didn't have a lot of options. I agree. Um, they want to teach you this gnome open, and I'm like, why are you learning openings? And they're not solid. They're not the Royal Pez or the Yoko Piano or the Queen's Gambit. You're not playing a solid system. They're teaching you these really risky openings, and I'm like, why are you doing that? That's just it's dangerous stuff. It's you shouldn't be doing that. You need to be finding better solid openings. So we're going to throw a check in here because the pawn is pinned. I needed to throw in another pin. Here's a pin. The pawn is pinned, so I can put my queen here because he can't take back. I got another pin in. That's all I wanted. My day is complete. I got a pin in. Yes, another pin. That's 3 pins this game. So the I'd rather you just move your center pawns, develop your pieces as fast as possible. Only move other pawns when provoked. If you're provoked, you are totally allowed, expected, go for it, move those other pawns. But if you're not provoked, stay out of there. Don't be moving those other pawns. These pawns don't need to. If you notice, look, none of my pawns have been moved except for the center pawns. It's the only pawns you need to move to get started. And again, we're talking about as a beginner that we want to play solid, we want to play good, well, move those pawns, not the others. Stay away from the center pawns. I mean, only move the center pawns. Stay away from the non-center pawns. Ah, so the good news is I haven't heard anybody tell me that it's been skipping and misbehaving. So again, I'm glad. I'm excited. Thank you. I'm just I need I need to be able to talk to you guys and for you to see things and not have it be choppy and bouncing all over the place. So I'm kind of excited that did not happen. All right, we're gonna try to restrict the bishop a little bit. It could have taken. Pawn would have had to take him back, but that would open up a semi-open file at the king, and there's no reason for me to give white opportunities with open files. So that's why I did that. If I take, he takes back with the pawn. Not a great situation, but I didn't see any reason to give him opportunities. This is much more of what I wanted. I want him out here where I can attack him, and I like that. In fact, if the rook takes, that check doesn't quite get me what I want. It was close. I can also push because then I'm threatening to come here. And if he pushes here, I still get a check, and we still get the, oh, wait. Bishop. Bishop covers it. Doesn't get me what I want. It doesn't get me what I want. If I take, I open up some files though. So if I take, I get to open up a file, right? His bishop is trapped, by the way. His bishop is looking kind of sad behind this pawn. Doesn't really have any scope that way. His bishop wants to come back this way. So actually, I could just let him take. I could take back and open up the file that way. Not crazy about letting him step up though. So decisions, right? Always decisions. We're going to open up this file. How to make decisions. He could, of course, at any time attack the queen to try to win this pawn. I don't have to go to a place where I can't protect the pawn, though. By the way, if this rook is here, my queen is here, that's checkmate. So these are just things you start to look for. You say, boy, if that rook is here, my queen is here, that's checkmate. So I might want to put my queen in a square where I can get there. Right, so I'm going to start off by just attacking the rook, I think. Do I want to say check? That means his king has to come up here. We'll start here. I like it. I get another chance for a possible pin if he protects the rook. Oh, he protects it with the bishop. Nice. So we're going to go just for fun. We're going to pin the rook, right? I mean, we're supposed to be looking for pins. I'm looking for pins. All right. Now the bishop is pinned too. So the bishop can't move because then he'd lose this rook. The rook can't move, then he'd be in check. Everybody with me on that? We're going to move another pawn and try to see if we can win the rook because it's pinned. But look, both pieces are pinned. Now the bishop can move for discovered attack if he could say check. So if he could say check, he would win my queen with a discovered attack. But he didn't have a discovered attack to throw in there. I could throw in my bishop and get the king in check. I could push on the rook right now, which I really like. So let's question to the rook. Rook can't go here, can't go here. So the rook is down to these three squares. Can't go there, can't go there, can't really take. So rook is down to three squares. And anytime you're limiting a piece's movement, that's usually a good thing. Yes, his bishop was useless. My bishop wasn't useless. Remember, it pinned the pawn. It did a great job of giving me great opportunities. So I liked my bishop. But yeah, his bishop is been out here not really doing it. But it started here. It's the when this pawn took back, when this pawn took this way, it kind of blocked the bishop out of the game. And he did bring it back to get it into play. But boy, if he could have thrown a check in, he could have won the king. So that would have been nice. Good game. Good game, Modern Ancient. Good job. Good game. All right, guys. I don't know how many, I don't have a clue how many people are still on here. How many people have stuck it out all this far? And Murph, usually challenges me to a game for this, but he did not. Oh, we still have a few. We can, and I don't think we have enough for the tournament. Let's see how many people are. Yeah, there's only two. Oh, no, that's not right. We know that's not right. Our membership is definitely not. There we go. Actually, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of us are online, but we could save that for another time. Anybody want to do one more challenge? I'm hoping that we're pointing out the pin and getting that to be beneficial for all of us. That's why I'm doing this. That's why we're talking today. It's just for that pin action. Any other Next week, we should be going for our next tactic, which is probably going to be double attack, forks and double attacks. We're going to seek out every fork and double attack we can find. Well, thank you. Thank you, Mon Nation. That is the reason I do it. So I see you. I love your stream, and you stream because you love playing and you love learning. And I'll be honest with you. Well, I'm not an international master. I'm not a grandmaster. I'm a club A player, which is about two. I'm like 1980s in over the board USCF rating. I've been as high as 1980s, high 1980s. Still, I'm going to look to break that 2000 at some point and maybe get expert. But every other title above expert, you have to actually play in tournaments with other masters and higher rated people and do well. Well, thanks, Chris. The only way that I know that you can, the only way I understand for donations, because I don't have any sponsors, of course, would be to do a subscription. You would be my first ever subscription, and I would like have to mark that down somewhere. If you do Prime, and I don't see a thing on yours for Prime, I'm a Prime member. I see Token as a Prime member. You could use your Prime to subscribe, so you didn't have to spend your money, and you could subscribe. But yeah, you'd be my first ever subscriber. You know, just so you know. I don't know if you could do it like for $1. I think it would be fun to be that. Oh, you can? Wow. Okay, I didn't know that. And you can set up donations without a sponsor. I have no idea. I, I have no idea. I do this because I was about to say I think modern ancient. You do this because you love playing and learning. I do this because I really love teaching. I feel like teaching is my calling. My whole life I've been teaching different things. I didn't become a teacher. I went into the military and spent 20 years there instead. But even then, when I was in the military, and now every chance I can, I teach different things. And chess has been such a fun thing to teach. I coach sports too. But chess is so awesome because you know what? Unlike my sports, like I coach volleyball recently, unlike a sport, every person can compete at chess on an equal ground. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to be able to run. You don't have to be able to jump. You don't have to be tall. You don't have to be fast. All you have to do is be able to use your mind. And so chess to me is the best equalizer, best sport for inclusion because everyone can play. And it doesn't matter if you're a girl, it doesn't matter if you're 8, it doesn't matter if you're 90, it doesn't matter if you're a guy, it doesn't matter if you can't speak English. You can compete on an even plane with everyone else that you're playing with. And yeah, monetization, I always love help. I like learning too. I do like learning. I just love teaching, but I love learning too. Um, Oh, really? You can't even get a sub until you're an affiliate. Okay. Well, Chris, I'm going to find a way for you to somehow donate, but I don't want the money. But what I would really love if you want is just do what you're already doing, which is helping me do better at streaming and letting other people know, right? I feel really bad about when I'm going out and I was telling you guys that I went out and I looked for streamers on Twitch and when you go under chess, under the category, it gives you options. So you could go to like the most viewers to the fewest. You could do lowest viewers to the highest. You could do something else. So, but I just grabbed the one that said lowest viewers to the highest. And so I went out and I said, oh, this person only has like one streamer, one viewer, two viewers, three viewers. And I would go watch them. And then I watched to see how they present themselves and how are they what are they doing on their stream? And if they are personable, polite, don't they're not cussing up a storm at everybody and at themselves, and not throwing things at their camera. They seem to be having a good time and learning. I follow them, and I would love to tell them, hey, come and come over come over and visit me and get a free lesson. Let's do stuff together. But you feel like you don't want to sell yourself. I really love that modern ancient. He first time he found me, all he said on my stream was, "Hey, I'm so happy I found you. This is perfect. I'm learning. This is great. I'm so glad I found you." I felt really good. He just made me feel really good about what I was doing. And then I turned around and I got finished with my stream and I was just hunting around for looking around and I noticed the same name is streaming. Modern Ancient. And so I had to check out his stream. I watched him for a while, lurking in the background, and I was like, this guy's cool, nice, relaxed, calm, liked his demeanor, liked his speech, liked his attitude, always wanting to get better, didn't care if he got beat, he didn't care if he beat the guy. Um, so I don't know what's not to like, right? So I followed him, and then we started talking, and so now we're doing lessons on Sunday, which you guys all invited to. We're going to be using Zoom this time. We're going to try that so you can see both of us at the same time. And now we're going to have some team battles, right? We're going to have my followers and your followers, and we're going to have viewers against viewers. And my students, I have a ton of students, and they're beginners, but they're going to give you guys a good run for your money. Vic is going to be tough for them, but yeah. Southeast Asia, wow. See, you get to travel. That's nice. All right. Yes. Yes. I love having a chess set with me. When you travel, you take out a chess set, just start playing by yourself, and people come up, can I play a game? And you meet all, just what a great way to meet people. Chess is such a great ambassador tool to meet people. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Oh, no, it's a good, yeah, it's a good one. So, Chris, yeah, maybe you just go out and find me some other people. Chris, you go and Chris, if you stream, I'd follow you too, and then you can we could have three of us getting sub battles, right? Not sub battles, I guess. For me, it's viewer battles. Yeah, I got to get more subscribers too. Well, not subscribers, but followers even. But yeah, if you go out and find any of those viewers that have those people that are streaming and they have a low number of viewers and they're beginners, you could just tell them, hey, go over there. You don't have to follow me. Just come on over and watch and learn and get better because that's really what I want to do is I want to help people get better. And I have I have my 30 plus students over here where I'm at in Michigan. I teach them, and some of them are from other states. I have New Jersey, but it's nice to expand and teach more people. That's when I first started streaming those lessons. I was streaming to myself and anybody else. Some of my students would jump in, but you just teach it and you hope people are getting a chance to learn. And that's why I throw them on YouTube also, so that you know other people will find them on YouTube. And if they want to learn some basics, everything I see, even when I see the IMs teaching, I like Eric Rosen, clean. Um, by clean, I mean, it's something I can let my kids watch. That's all. I spent 20 years in the military. I've heard language. My wife uses language sometimes. But I have, I have kids and I teach kids. And I don't want to tell the kids I teach that are 8 years old, oh, go watch so and so. And, it's their parents like, why'd you tell them to watch that? That was terrible. So Eric Rosen, I like, very clean. John Bartholomew, very clean. Like him, like him. So there's a few. And I put them in if you look in my description, it shows which ones I host, right? Which other ones I follow or that I like and that I host. And so if you look at those, you'll see the ones that I found, and I put them in the order that I like them, that I like them, and that they're acceptable for kids. And so I try to mark mine now as family friendly, just so people know that kids could watch it. I don't know that kids should be on Twitch altogether because it's just so much stuff out there. Yeah, but it's the internet. It's the whole thing is same as the internet. All right. Um, Boy, you guys got me. We should call this chess chatting instead of a chess instruction today. Doing a lot of chatting. I'm going to see if Larry, I haven't played Larry. He's one of my students. Nice guy. I'm going to see if I can get Larry to play a quick game. He might not want to. We'll see. And then I'll call it a night after that game. And definitely we're going to do the team versus team, or I will let you guys, anytime I jump on, if I can get enough of you that want to play, I like it. I'm learning from the master. I'm learning from the modern ancient. He's my teacher for streaming. And every time I see him, he's doing his tournaments. I feel bad about joining your tournament because I'd rather you guys play each other and me watch and learn what you might need, right? I can watch and say, I can help them with this. But, I don't mind. I played the other day with you and I will play with you again. All right. We'll see you later, Modern Ancient. Thank you very much. I will definitely see you on Sunday. We're looking at 1 o'clock. and that should be fun. We should be able to get a battle going there. So I'll see if Larry will play me, and that's okay. If you guys sign off, I'll play one more game before I leave. Just I'm in the mood for another game. All right. See you, Modern Ancient. Come on, Larry. Say yes. He might not even be at his computer. So a lot of times, if you just leave it on Lichess, it'll show that you're online, but you're not really there. Chris, if you want to play another one, we could play a same way, but I can actually we could talk through every move before, stay on, um, and we can talk through your moves before you move if you like. And if you have any questions, happy to answer them while we're playing the game. I mean, they're not rated, so I really don't care about winning or losing. It's more about learning. So it's hard to even give up rating points, even in Lichess. And Lichess isn't real to people that play on over the board tournaments. They don't care about Lichess ratings because they're not really. Yeah, we could do unlimited. Sure. Sure. Definitely. If you want to throw me a challenge, because Larry doesn't seem to be responding either. He's not online or he just doesn't want to. I don't know which one. Now Larry's giving me a 5 plus 10. Oh no, that's the waiting. Good. That's mine. It'll show me mine too. That's good. I didn't know the challenges would show me the challenges I put out. All right. So remember, we want to move our center pawns. Like I said, you can stay on the stream. You're not stream sniping. We're doing this on purpose so we could talk through it. So I prefer that you move your center pawns. You can move a G or B pawn if you are planning to fianchet. Please ask questions. So I normally play the French, just so you know. That's actually the opening I prefer to play. It's just one I learned when I was 8 years old from my dad. I don't know that it fits my style, but I've been playing it since I was 8, so I still play it a lot. But because I'm normally, when I'm teaching, I try to work with my students, and I'm like, nope, we're going to just do E4, E5, because that's what I'm trying to get them to do. I don't remember who played. Oh, Vic played the Scandinavian, I believe. And and that was a nice thing about the Scandinavian. We traded queens early and we got into a very Joris position. And after you play somebody once, a lot of times you'll think about it and you'll say, okay, what do I want to do next time? And what you're going to do next time is you would say, well, that got into a Joris position. I need to keep it mixed up. I want to take advantage of my seeing the board and seeing tactics better than my opponent. So instead of the queen there, I probably would have used the bishop and just played it differently, or I might have used the knight and fianchettoed the bishop. But I would have probably mixed it up because his queen move is definitely not the best move. His queen to e6 is not normal, not the norm for the opening. So, but I figured I'd trade off queens and we just go there. So if I move the knight here, Chris, you could play the fried liver attack, where you get this early attack on this pawn. And then I could push this pawn, you could take, and I could take with the knight, you could take here, and then I take with the king, your queen comes out, and then my king steps up here, and it's very, very dangerous. But you go through this whole and if black does all the right moves, he'll come out with a tiny edge, right? He'll come out ahead. So you don't see this from grandmasters because black will come out ahead. But another variation is you push here, he pushes here, you attack actually you attack the bishop with the knight here because the pawn is blocking. Remember, your knight's here, but you attack here on the bishop. Usually what you do is the bishop comes here and says check. You push the pawn, he takes, you take, and then your bishop backs up, and that's the game you play. You play it. It's a different, open kind of wild position. But since I teach knights before bishops, and by that I mean a knight and then develop a bishop, just like you did. You did great. Knight and then a bishop. Since I teach that, I do this also, and guess what? It stops the fried liver attack in its tracks anyway. So that's why I did that. And so yeah, while we're playing, unfortunately, you're gonna have to chat it because I can't hear you. The lesson I'm gonna do with the Modern Ancient on Sunday will be via Zoom. So if you ever want to do a live lesson on stream with me, we could do that. You don't even have to be streaming, but we could Zoom with you so we can hear and see you while you're talking, and you could just talk to me, and you and I can do just what I did with Mon and Ancient. You don't even have to be a streamer. Happy to do that with you if you want to get a lesson, because again, I think giving you a lesson will help other people learn. And I just like teaching, so I'm happy to teach you as a lesson. So any questions, or you're just thinking through? So do we have any new viewers with any questions? Feel free to ask. I'm just playing Chris a game for training and for teaching purposes. So if you have suggestions or questions like why not this, why not that, what's good, what's bad, um, feel free to offer up your advice. We're not playing a rated game, so it's not like you're going to be helping either one of us. It's okay. I don't believe in being helped when you're doing a rated game, but if it's unrated, you can you definitely can team up and help and discuss. D4 right now is plausible. Usually what would happen is you do C3 to prep D4. And I try to get my students, again, not to waste a move of D3, because in general it's bad because you're not moving a center pawn, you're not developing a piece, and you're taking the best square from the knight. So let's just look, if you were to do D4, how many pieces do you have protecting it? You have two. How many do I have attacking that square? All you have to do is count. One, two, three. All you have to do is be able to spot all of the pieces attacking that square. Think of the square, not the piece. So I have three attacking the square. You have two protecting it. So what's going to happen if you push that pawn? It's called free candy, right? So I could just take it. Now that might be okay for you, might get some dynamics. If I take with the knight, this pawn is no longer protected. But if I take with the bishop, everything is protected, and you'd have to decide, do you want to give up your knight for a bishop? If we were grandmasters, you might say, yeah, I get a bishop. I get to get rid of one of the bishops, because grandmasters think having both bishops is a little bit better than having, you know, than the other player, because you have both bishops and they don't. At our level and at your level, yeah, yeah, it's still a free pawn as a free pawn as a free pawn, and you don't normally want to give away a free pawn. It doesn't work out well normally. So no, I wouldn't do d4 yet. If you want to do d4, you need to make sure that you have an equal number attacking that square. And the only reason why I tell you not to do c3 to prep d4 is because that's a pawn move, that's a pawn move. And while you're doing that first pawn move, I develop another piece. You do that other pawn move, we could trade off everything, and I'm still ahead on development. You are playing the white pieces, which means you should be ahead in development. In the whole game, you should be ahead in development because you go first. So it's a race. We're doing a race to see who could develop faster, and why give up the advantage, right? It's kind of like we started a race, and you were 5 yards ahead of me because maybe I didn't tie my shoe, and are you going to say, come on, catch up before, no, you're trying to win the race, right? You're not going to say, I'll wait for you, come on, catch up, and then we'll race the last 100 yards. Why would you do that? You're not. You're like, you get a lead, you want to maintain that lead. In fact, you want to build on that lead if you can. So same thing here. If you're ahead in development, try not to move your pieces more than once unless you have a really good reason. And in the fried liver, you'd have a really good reason because it would be a fun attacking opening, right? Even if you lose, it's fun to make that attack. So I understand it in that situation, but in this situation, no, I wouldn't want you moving c3 yet until you get to be much stronger, because it just pushes you backwards on development. One of the things I tell my students is you have to wait till you're a lot better before you can make bad moves. When you get good, when you get to be like those guys, IAMs and all that, you can make bad moves. I'm not good enough to make bad moves, so my students aren't good enough to make bad moves. I don't want them making bad moves yet. All right, so we're going to castle because I'm developing as fast as I can. I have two pieces left to develop. Some people don't think of the queen as needing to get off the back rank, but I do. I believe the rooks have to talk to each other to be fully developed. So, there's the nice thing about chess is it's dynamic and rich enough that people can have totally different opinions, and you're still okay because, it's not like somebody's totally right or somebody's totally wrong. Again, feel free to ask questions along the way if you like. I know it's harder when you have to chat it. We're definitely, again, happy to do a live lesson with you sometime where I can hear you, and we probably do a lot better job of teaching and learning because you'd be able to ask questions verbally. So I know Eric. I like listening to Eric Rosen and like I said, John Bartholomew, and both of those have voices. The way they talk, so calm. They both seem like they're from the West Coast. I mean, you could go to sleep to that, to them just talking. I like it. I don't think I'm like that. I think if anything, I'm closer to like Gotham Chess, Levy Rosman. Um, he's loud. He's yeah, yeah. His voice will get on you a little bit because he's from New York. I'm thinking I'm more like that. I'm thinking I probably I would keep people awake, not put them to sleep. So I don't know though. I can aspire to be like Rosen and Bartholomew and just let people sleep. Just a warning, we're going to end this game. It's unlimited, right? So I believe, yeah, it's correspondence. So the good news, Chris, when you're ready or I'm ready for bed, we could just leave the game and we can continue later. Or you can make a move the next day and I can make the move the next day after that. So great question. Great question. I know I thought you might be thinking about it. The knight move here and then, taking here and getting a rook and a pawn for the knight and the bishop. So first of all, in points, it's exactly the same. Rook is worth 5, pawn is worth 1, that's 6. These are worth 6. Some people like to say bishops are 3.5, but basically it's 6 versus 6. So point-wise, it's totally equal. You would draw my king because my king would have to take next. So my king would step up here for the last take, and it would be out of position, right? And you've broken up my 3 unmoved pawns, and my king is out a little bit. So those are your benefits. My benefits are that I took a piece that isn't really used until the end game. You remember the game against Vic? The rooks didn't get used until the end game. We ended up with rook against rook, and it was a draw. So rooks are normally end game pieces, and you know that because even in the middle game, they're just happy to be able to talk to each other. They look for open or semi-open files to play along. So they're middle game, end of middle game, end game pieces. Bishops and knights are opening middle game pieces. They're useful in the end game too, don't get me wrong, but they're mostly used to do attacking in the opening and in the middle game. So would you rather have, right? Would you rather have these two pieces in the opening? Yes, than the rook. But if white can get to the end game, then his rook and that extra pawn, especially if it's a passed pawn with no pawns to stop it, can be very powerful. But that's the difference. So I'd rather be the one that takes and you give away, I'd rather be black and let you give away your knight and bishop and give me the momentum in the opening to attack with 2 extra pieces because your rooks aren't going to be in the game. They're going to stay back. So I have 2 extra pieces to attack with throughout the opening and into the most of the middle game. I'd rather have that because I'll probably win some material more than just a pawn. I mean, I got more pieces than you. So I think it's not a good trade for white. And I think if you watch the Masters and Grandmasters, you'll see they don't make that trade either because it's still 2 pieces, even though they're minor pieces, they're 2 pieces versus 1. And this piece doesn't play until the end game. So I'd say no. And you should try it sometime though, right? As black, when they take, realize, okay, now I'm going to get my other bishop out quick, and I'm going to see if I can checkmate them with these, because I'm going to have 4 minor pieces. Sorry, I'm going to have 4 minor pieces against 2. So I'm going to see if I can do some serious damage quickly, because if I get to the end game, it might equalize. But even in the end game, if I have a bishop and a knight against a rook, chances are that rook is going to be, the knight's going to be able to fork somebody, the bishop's going to be able to pin somebody. So I can get some good stuff might happen, right, in that end game situation. All right, so pressing on. But yeah, great question. And it's an interesting one for you. And look at this, we have a totally symmetrical position. But yeah, that's the kind of question you should be looking at and trying to decide, do I want to make this trade or not? But all the time, right? All the time, making sure there's no free candy. So you could add up the points and decide it's equal, and then decide if you want to do it, but it is equal. So you just have to decide, do I want that equal trade, giving up a knight and a bishop for a rook and a pawn? I say no. Oh, that was so frustrating when we started tonight. Started off with on a different computer thinking that it'll work out, and it just crashed and burned on me. All right, so we have troubles. So I don't want you doubling up my pawns. Although I could, and we can play kind of like what you saw in the last game. I can take it on purpose. But in general, I don't like opening up my king on your terms and doubling up my pawns and giving you, too much of an attack. So I'm going to chase your bishop. And you saw what happened if you don't chase the bishop and you allow the double attack in the other game. That one ended pretty quick for me because I was the one doing the attacking. But so I can pin now, and you might say, well, I still get the double attack. And you could, but what happens is when you go here, then I can actually go here, breaking the pin, because your knight can't help out, because you lose your queen, and I can still break the pin. And even if you take, I take, your knight still can't take back. And you're so that's the technique. I can wait. I don't have to chase you. I can do other things now because your knight can't hurt me. I could have also put the bishop here, threatening that if you ever put the knight there, I just take it off. That was the other way, because I haven't used my bishop yet. I could have went here to also deal with this pin. But we're going to leave that pin alone, and we're going to do what I was just talking about, showing you that technique. And again, you can do this doubling up on the knight, but then I get to do this, and that's a different game, right? It just plays out differently. This is nice. I mean, we're no longer going to be in this symmetrical position. It's going to get fun. And then you start just having to play based on tactics and seeing. But the key is that there's been no free candy. So you are totally in this game. It's not over early. You don't want to lose games in the first 4 or 5 games. If you lose in 4 or 5 moves, if you lose in the first 4 or 5 moves, it's just because of unawareness. Bad moves too, right? If you're moving side pawns, you're not developing. But for the most part, it's just unawareness. So you might be too new to the game for what? I got I think I understood the other part, but I didn't get the last line. You might be too new to the game. For which part? And I'm definitely going to be quitting soon because 10 o'clock I fall asleep. Oh yeah, yeah. Sacrificing a night to keep a pin is dangerous. It's risky. It's fun, but it's risky. But in this case, yeah, you wouldn't be sacrificing that knight. You'd be sacrificing that queen. So we're not going to sacrifice that. Yep. But lately, I've been doing a lot of sacrificing of a bishop for 2 pawns to open up a king. That's been fun. It's You have to make sure you have the attack that you can follow through against stronger players. But even against stronger players, if you're playing on a tight time limit, you can get away. All right, so now we can get into the exact symmetrical position again that we were talking about. Tempted to do it just to show you, but it's kind of scary. I can also take your knight and then bring my knight over, but then your queen just moves to multitude of places, and that doesn't hurt you. But so we're going to end up with a total symmetrical position, which was not my goal, but we're going to end up there anyway. So now we're symmetrical again. By the way, copying the other player's moves is not a good idea. You're not. I'm copying you, if anybody. All right, I just moved where you moved. But that's usually not good because eventually you'll end up, one of you will have a move that the other one can't copy, and then you're in trouble. So just in general, if you ever wondered if that was a good technique to copy the other player's moves, you can do it for a while, but you have to beware because you'll get lulled into just keep doing it, and then you'll get into trouble. Yeah, you could do G4 now, definitely. Just like we talked about. And your bishop is going to drop back here after you push the pawn. So your bishop will be here to protect the king. So you're open, but you're also planning on opening me up. Definitely, that is a playable move. And I'm not about to sacrifice my queen. So no, that's definitely playable. It just depends on how risk averse you are. If you're like, hey, I don't mind a little risk and I like playing a little dangerous, then you definitely can do it. And of course, I'm not going to sacrifice, so I only have one move. So this is also where I see beginners sometimes like they'll sit here and they'll think for like 5 minutes to make that move. It's not really like they had any other really good choices, right? Then they're not going to do anything else with it. So that's nice. So I mean, nothing wrong with that. And the only difference is that I'm thinking, I don't care if I double up my pawns right now because my bishop is here, protected. Same reason, remember, your king comes back. So your pawns are here, and my pawns are going to be here. And so again, we are no longer going to have, the game won't look the same anymore, which is great. But it's going to be dynamic. So let's see what happens. So this move is to get rid of your bishop because that bishop can be annoying later. And that bishop is a very strong bishop, and I want to get rid of it. So that knight wasn't doing much for me at all, and I figured now that knight can, you know, do something good for the world. He can get rid of that bishop. So that's why I made that move. I try to tell you why I make moves too, so you learn what I'm thinking. But you're supposed to do that, right? You're supposed to every time go, why do you do that? If you think about why do you do that, I was watching someone else play online that's a beginner, and they just started touching their pieces. As soon as the other person moved, they're like touching and they're touching and they're touching, and I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. What they should be doing is saying, why do you move here? Huh? And he could look at all the squares that's under attack. And he could say, well, the only reason it looks like he moved here is to attack that bishop, and that would be correct. So that's an interesting move, Chris. I like it because you got your queen off the back rank, but other than getting your queen off the back rank, I don't know that it does anything for you. I'm tempted to just take the bishop right away, but I'm also tempted to push this pawn and chase your knight and make your knight take. Might weaken that pawn for later. See, now I'm thinking also about this pawn being weakened a lot later. And you can't stop me from taking your bishop yet. If you push there, I have two, you have one. So it's not like you're going to push there on me either. So many choices. Okay, we'll start by putting the question to your knight. And that's just what it's called when you attack a piece with a pawn to try to make it move. You're putting the question to it. You're saying, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad pawns, bad pawns. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. We're going to take there. Not going to take with the queen, of course. Can't do that. And now we still can trade off the bishop. But you're right. That would open the file. Nice job. Getting your queen here allows you to open the file. Okay, good. And so I would have to think, like, why did he move here? He could have moved here. I think here would have been a much better threat, right? Because think about it. If you were there and you take here, I had to take with the pawn. This pawn is free candy. See that? If you were here when you stepped up, you would have been threatening to win free candy on the take. And so when you moved here, I would have had to think about it. Now my knight's protected, so you're not threatening the knight, but you are threatening, you would have been threatening to win this pawn after I take. And I would have had to figure out something to do about that. Not sure what I would have done at the moment. I might have pushed the pawn, but I would have had to do something because that pawn would have been hanging. Just way that I want you to think about the game. So there would have been interesting because the take, is coming with the knight. And that happened in the other game I played. I don't remember if it was against Modern Ancient or against you, where I ended up taking that pawn after the bishop took here. The pawn took, and the queen was able to grab that pawn. So you could have done the same. And I would have had to be awake enough to realize, and think about that's not easy to think through. I mean, if you had went here, your opponent would have to realize this pawn that you're threatening to win that pawn because they wouldn't have probably thought of it. So probably take here first, right? You got to respond because your queen's under attack. And they probably would never have thought about the fact that that pawn will be hanging when they take. And black would have either had to do this first to make sure that that pawn wouldn't fall, or I could have pushed it. But yeah, are they going to find that? That would have been a tough one for them to find. Okay, so it's still your move. Okay. Well, it wasn't free candy. It could have been free candy. I mean, you would have been threatening to make it free candy. I could have moved my king up. I could have pushed it. But if I don't pay attention, right? If you did this and I would have taken, you would have taken, and then it's my move again. And if I just do some quiet move like I'll push this pawn or I'll push this pawn, if I do something else, let's say I push this pawn at that point. So let's say your knight's here, and I didn't push this pawn yet, and you put your queen here, and then I take, you take, and I didn't push this pawn yet, so your knight's, and even if I did, and then I push on your knight, then your knight takes, my pawn takes, and your queen gets that candy, would become free. So that's very complex, right? That's a lot of this, then this, that, and I don't even bother my students with expecting them to know that at this stage, but that's what's to come. That's what you're looking forward to is, do I put my rook queen here or do I put my queen here? And what's the difference? Why would I do one and not the other? And we just saw reasons why you would do one, not the other. All right, so I could take, and we just talked about, you take back and look at that rook would be, now my bishop's holding it, my queen is holding it. I don't know if I really want to do all that. So I'm going to do this instead. Why? Because I'm going to try to push your bishop back because that's the only place I could see he could go. And if your bishop goes back, then I take it, and you have to take back with one of these guys, and that rook you just put there on a open file, that file will no longer be open. So that was my plan there. I'm definitely taking, getting rid of him because my knight has been waiting to do something. He's been so bored. That knight was so bored. He wasn't doing anything for so long. And so now you have to make a decision, right? There you go. You have to make a decision. And so anytime I can kind of entice you to make a decision in general is a good thing. All right, king's going to come up. Why? Because we know that pawn, those are weak pawns, right? These two pawns are weak. And I don't want to keep my queen tied down to this pawn. I might want to push this pawn. I might want to push this pawn. But so I'm bringing my king up. My king is an active piece. It's just you don't want him too active too early most times. So, but he can be an active piece, and he is right now. So I'm happy with that. All right. I think you now could have pushed d4. You would have had one, two. Oh, you only had two. I keep thinking the queen was over there too. So I'm still thinking the queen come here to threaten that at the same time as you would have had three pieces to be able to push. So you are pushing at the pawn, but I kind of want to push this pawn anyway because guess what? He's semi-open and he has the potential to maybe someday find more in his life than being a pawn. So happy to push him. All right, it's about my bedtime, Chris. It's after 10. We can continue this game next time, or we can, of course, play it. You know, you can make a move, I'll make a move tomorrow. But if you want to wait, if you're joining us Sunday for our lesson, if you like, we could finish this game first for our lesson, or we can actually do this while I'm doing a lesson with um, the modern ancient because it's unlimited. So we can make a move, talk about it, discuss it while we're waiting for him. Maybe he's getting drink, coffee, or whatever. So I'm gonna step out because I'm old, man. I get tired. 10 o'clock, I'm about to fall asleep. So I'm going to call it a night, if that's okay. Thank you. All right, great. We'll see you Sunday, and we definitely can come back and visit this, and we can discuss it. And I like this way of discussing and talking and asking questions. It's a good way for you to learn. And I will tell you right now, you're playing way better than your rating. Um, well, I don't know what your rating is on chess.com, right? Here it's not, it is your, like one of your first games. So what's your rating on chess.com? Because I'm thinking you're playing a lot better than your rating there. Yeah, you're playing. If you played this solid, no free candy, um, seriously, this is all you are playing way above that rating, way above. Very good. So yeah, you just want to keep up this kind of um, not giving away any free candy, paying attention to what's going on, and the things I'm showing you aren't memorization of moves. That's to me is what's critical. I'm not trying to show you any moves to memorize. I'm trying to show you moves that are just logical by principle that you could be choosing to do. All right, cool. We will catch you then on Sunday. I will see all the rest that are there that been quiet. We'll see you hopefully on Sunday. Like I said, at 1 o'clock, I'll be working with the Modern Ancient. I have my lessons on Monday at 8 p.m. I always like to give this public service announcement. Mondays at 8 p.m., Wednesdays 11 a.m., and then Fridays at 8 p.m. Mondays I introduce the concept. Wednesday we review games, and you can offer your games. I'll review your games. I don't review them ahead of time, so it's I expect every game to show the basic because we're doing such basic concepts. Every game should have at least one example of whatever concept we're talking about. And then Fridays, as today, we play against each other and again looking for those concepts. You're very welcome. I thank you guys for showing up. It's no fun teaching if no one's learning. So I am so happy the stream didn't get choppy and bad like it was on Wednesday. So I'm going to be able to put this one up on YouTube. We will see you all later. Thank you again. Thank you very much. Have a great night.